Hello everyone, I am Hack. If you want to know what that stands for and what in the world it has to do with my intro, feel free to ask me. Hulk, Nick Fury, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Maria Hill, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and put them all together and at long last you have the Avengers! Oh, the Avengers. I've been waiting for this film for a long time, pretty much like everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but you get the idea. So the story of the Avengers, wait, you probably don't want to know just yet if you haven't seen the movie. And if you don't want to know, that's fine. Just go to this particular section on the timeline and you'll be just fine. Anyway, for those of you who have seen it or haven't seen it but do want to know, the story starts with the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, trying to harness the power of the Terrorist Act. But along the way, he opens this portal that brings Loki right into Earth. He takes the cube and then controls a couple of people to come with him to use it to make another portal to drag an army to invade Earth. So Nick Fury works on trying to form the Avengers, and the rest you'll have to see for yourself. Oh my gosh, I love this movie. I mean, granted, there are one or two things wrong with it. Firstly, the script is not terribly original, and that is probably expected. And secondly, there's a couple of stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For example, warning, spoiler alert, so if you do want to know, same deal as the plot. There's the part where Thor gets into the movie. He jumps out of nowhere, and they don't really explain how he got there. I mean, sure, maybe Odin found a way, maybe a little bit of a help from Heimdall, but they don't explain that. So it's really out of the blue on how he gets there. And secondly, there's the part where they capture Loki, but we all know that's only going to temporarily be the case, so pretty much that. And there's also the part where Thor starts fighting Iron Man and Captain America over Loki, who is technically being captured. And it seems like while they're fighting, Loki's going to escape, but once the fighting is over, somehow they still have him. Now, personally, I think that makes sense considering Loki wants to be captured, potentially, but still you're left wondering if that's even the case. I mean, shouldn't they be, suspicious that he seems to have, for all we know, willingly stayed captured? Because it seemed like Nick Fury was the only one that was in any way suspicious about that, and they didn't exactly elaborate on his suspicions, so yeah. Now, the action of this film was exactly how it was supposed to be. Just countless enemies just coming in and getting easily killed by the Avengers. The action, especially at the very end, was exactly how it was supposed to be. Just, total chaos going around while the Avengers destroy or kill thousands of enemies. That, when you think about it, at the end of the day, is pretty much what ordinarily happens in an Avengers or Marvel comic in general. Because, really, at least from my experience, whether it's the Civil War, Fear itself, Siege, whatever, that's basically how the battles go. The Avengers, or the X-Men, or the Fantastic Four, or maybe just Spider-Man all alone, for all I know, just face countless enemies, a bunch of cities or landscapes, whatever, get blown half to hell. The action is big. Some civilians may be suspicious about the Avengers because of all the destruction that happens, and that's kind of it. I can think of maybe one or two other things, but that's roughly how it goes when it comes to big battles like these in the Marvel Universe. And I really love how the way it was set up, considering it didn't just have action, but a lot of well done drama, a little bit of sadness, but especially comedy. They did their comedy perfectly. It was excellent. I mean, it was very easy to laugh more than a dozen times throughout the whole movie in the theaters. On both times that I saw this film, there was always like half a dozen things or more where you just couldn't stop laughing or getting a really good chuckle from one line, one particular bit of action, or something like that. So the ways of being completely entertained, comedy-wise, are practically endless in this film, and I love it. I mean, the one thing you definitely have to enjoy when it comes to the comedy is the fact that it really helps when things start to get cheesy, because sometimes things will get, well, just plain cheesy, but then they'll break that cheesiness with something that turns out to be completely funny in the way that's just plain awesome. Because there are things that start off cheesy, but then they do something that's completely hilarious, that just turns out completely original, and it's awesome every single time. But at the end of the day, to me, what was the important thing is that they did a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, job at bringing this world to life. And I'm not talking just the Avengers. In my opinion, this movie worked in terms of bringing close to the entire concept of the world of Marvel to life. But again, you also have your dramatic scenes, you also have your fairly sad scenes, and the stuff that happens, whether it's action or just the story, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger the whole time. And I love that. I mean, altogether, I haven't been this super amused in a while, I'd like to say. I mean, it's not that I've hated every single movie that has been going on for quite a while, but I guess this is the one that, for the first time in quite a while, has really hit the spot in terms of being completely, utterly entertained. Like, for all I know, this is the first since Dark Knight or something, maybe. Just maybe. Now, here's what I thought about the acting and the characters. Chris Evans, he did a perfect job. He was exactly what Captain America is supposed to be. I mean, yes, he did this already with the Captain America movie, but he just took it a step further, and that was just awesome. I mean, the film really worked for him in terms of how he's focused on being a leader and on the mission, and yet there's all this comedy on how he's still not caught up in the modern world. And what's to say about Iron Man? I mean, he was, well, Iron Man, just the way Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to make him. Only that this time he was funnier, and that's where it was just as awesome. I mean, again, the key thing of what really made this movie awesome, aside from dramatic sadness and action, was the comedy. And Robert Downey Jr. played an excellent job on that. But I also like how he had a serious side at the same time. And I also really, really loved on how they gave us a touch of an idea of how things been going in terms of his relationship with Pepper Potts since the events of Iron Man 2. So I just love that to death. Now, this new guy, Mark Ruffalo, I think that's how you pronounce it, I was very skeptical at first. Granted, we all were, when it came to him being the new Hulk. Now, how did this guy do as Hulk? He did fine. I mean, in all fairness, there's nothing to entirely develop on, per se. I mean, it's Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. It's pretty straightforward. So I guess that's part of how they kind of get away with the fact that they have a completely new guy as the Hulk. Now, how he was as Bruce Banner,